The Consumer Protection Act says you can give 21 business days notice to get out of a lease at any time. They don't tell you there's a catch. Hi guys, my name is Dave Hayward from Hayward Properties, and we are lifting the veil off of property. We are giving you tips and tricks on how to maximize your investment in properties, whether you're buying, selling or renting, and we're also giving you key information about property, whether you're a tenant or a landlord. So guys, you're in your lease and now you want to get out of it. How do you do this? So you've signed a lease for a year, and 6 months into your lease, for example, you want to leave. What is the process to get out of it? Well, hopefully the first thing that you have done is that you've rented your property through an agent. This is going to make your life a lot simpler. You're at 6 months, it's time to leave, you give your 21 business days notice. What is that catch we were talking about? What they don't tell you is that you are still liable to the landlord for damages. So your landlord can't hold you liable for penalties as such, but if he can't find a suitable tenant to replace you at the end of that 21 business days notice, and the property stands empty for another month, 2 or 3, and you've still got 6 months left on your lease, he can hold you liable for that rental. How do we mitigate this, or how do we get around this? The key to this would be to give your landlord or your estate agent more than the 21 days notice if you can. Tell them that you're thinking of leaving, that you're going to be relocated. Communication here is the key. So the biggest fear most tenants have when they're going to now give their notice is that the landlord is going to retain their deposit, and like we've said, they could actually hold you liable for more damages. So the process in getting out would be to communicate with your landlord or your agent as far in advance as you can. The more time you give them, the more they can help you. So once you've given your notice now, whether it's the 21 days or you've given them a bit more time, the agent is going to have to advertise that property again for a new tenant. They're going to have to show the property to tenants, and then they've got to do the background and credit checks on that prospective tenant to make sure they're a suitable tenant. You can't just replace them with anybody. So there is a process in that, and there's a cost to that, which can be passed on to you. But what you'll find in most agencies, if they're managing and renting their property on an ongoing basis, is that they'll either do it at a very minimal admin fee or no cost at all. Because for agents, they also want to give their landlords good service. And for a landlord, the best value is when his property never goes empty. That's how he gets the best return on investment, is that the property is consistently rented out for a period. Speak to your agent. Let them get involved. Looking at this process, we've got to take into account the landlord. He's also got expectations. He signed a lease with you. He's expecting you to be there for a year. This is an investment for him. He's still got running costs on the property, possibly a bond. There's still the rates and taxes, insurance, and the maintenance costs that he's paid. He's also paid the agent to find you and place you in the property. So for him is very detrimental to his financial position. So you've got to balance these things out when you're thinking about yourself and moving on. You've also got to take into account the landlord's perspective in this situation. So the best way for you to be sure that you'll be able to get your deposit back and leave on a good note is to follow the steps that we're going to go through now. Start with the communication with your landlord or your agent. Tell them that you're planning on leaving and the reasons, and you've got to give them written notice. The best way to do it is to actually ask the landlord or the agent to say to the guys, listen, I need to leave. Please start advertising and marketing for a new tenant. And if you can give me enough notice that I've also got time to plan it, so let's make it that the property will be available on 1 calendar month's notice. That way, if it takes a month or 2 months, you're still in the property, paying rent just for that property. And when you found out that you've got the new tenant, you can then go and secure the next property. The wrong way to do it, or the more difficult way to do it, would be just to give your notice and leave. If that property stands empty, you're going to pay rent at that property, the one that you were in, and you're going to have moved into a new property and paying rent there. So double rent. Be a good tenant, leave on a good note if you need to, and be responsible not just to yourself, but to your agent and your landlord as well. You've now given your notice. The agent's going to start marketing and advertising the property. What else can you do to help? Well, before he starts marketing and advertising, he's going to need to get in there and get photos. So make yourself available as soon as possible for the agent to come take marketing photos. When they've got prospective tenants, make yourself available. People are going to want to view the property after hours. telling the agent that you're not available, that you've got soccer with the kids or whatever, is going to make it really difficult. You need to get another tenant in there ASAP, and the only way that's going to happen is if you allow the agents to do their work. Once your agent has found a replacement tenant, if there has been no gap in the rental period, so you've given your 21 days notice or you've given 2 months notice and the agent's managed to find a tenant for the time you move out, then there's no reason and there's no damages that can be assigned to you to hold back your deposit. The only place that your deposit might still have to be spent is if you haven't looked after the property. But if there's no loss in income, it's not a penalty for leaving early. No one can charge you that. It's only damages cost. One of the other tips or tricks that I can give you is that a lot of tenants, when leaving, want to advertise and market the property themselves, which you are entitled to do, as long as that when you find that tenant, the landlord or the agent will then do their credit checks and their vetting to make sure they're suitable. The only problem that we find is that often when you advertise a property privately, a lot of guys use Facebook and they advertise for a tenant on there. The guys that respond to those ads are generally not great tenants, and they're not going to pass the credit checks. If you go into social media and you see the guys advertising there or posting, looking to rent a property, but from landlord only or private rental only wanted, why do they want to rent privately? A tenant doesn't pay any real costs to an agent. There might be a lease fee or a slight fee, but the real cost is paid by the landlord. So what is the negative in using an agent? Well, there isn't. The negative is if they do a credit check and your credit's not great, or they do the background check and phone your previous landlords and the landlord says you didn't look after the property, rather use your agent. Let him do his job. Speak to him, work with him. He will get you the right tenant for the property. Because again, like I said to you, the agent wants to give good service to his landlord. He's going to do everything he can to find a new tenant for that property. He doesn't want it standing empty any more than you do. The key here is when you're renting a property, rent through an agent. And when you're in there, communicate. Always talk to your agent. He's actually on your side. Thank you for watching this video. If you've got any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments so that we can get back to you. Or if you want any videos on a specific topic, let us know. If you found the information valuable, be sure to like and share our video with your friends. And if you want to see more on these types of topics, be sure to subscribe. Hope to see you guys in the next video.